RIT New York. I started off as an information security and forensics major, which was eventually changed to computer security. And currently I am working for Dell SecureWorks here in Rhode Island. And I'm originally from Dubai. I was born there. And if you want to get technical, then I'm Indian, but I was born in Dubai. But yeah, it's.
All right, thank you. I'm gonna go with Langston next.
Hey everyone. My name is Langston, and like Kaushal, I was born and raised in Dubai as well. I I've lived there for like around 21 years now, and I started off at RIT as a mechanical engineer, but then eventually I changed my major to cybersecurity or computer security, as they call it, and I moved to the US in 2017, the fall of 2017, as a global scholar, and ever since then, I never left. I graduated in 2019, and now I currently work at the New York ISO as a cybersecurity analyst. Um, that's that's pretty much.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Mahin. I'm from RIT Dubai as well. The same thing as both of them. I'm born and raised in Dubai, but technically I'm Pakistani. And I have just moved to the States. My brothers live here. My parents are moving in December. So it's just a huge move. And I've decided to join RIT New York, which has been a pleasant experience so far. So that's my background.
Excellent. Thank you all. So some of you kind of hinted in your introductions that you have this sort of dual maybe identity or multiple identities in terms of places where you've lived or where you studied. You can tell us a little bit more detail on what those communities look like. What are some of your fondest memories of some of those spaces?
I can go. So I've lived in 2 countries so far, and then this is my third one. So I was born in Dubai. All my earlier childhood memories are from there. Basically running around in the neighborhood, cycling, skating with friends, a bunch of friends from different, like, since it's a topic of diversity, from different cultures, since Dubai is so diverse. And then I moved to Pakistan for 2 years, where I have some memories that they're very vague, not so clear. And then I moved back. So my memories are mainly just being around in the city and being with friends that are from different cultures, learning about them. And it's because we're born and raised in Dubai, it's so easy to feel everyone's just one, and all the cultures that you really interact with are just other human beings. So that's been my experience all my life.
Thank you.
I can go next. So basically, I was in Dubai for like 19 years of my life, and then I've moved here. I had a pretty much similar experience. It is actually very easy to interact with people in Dubai, and Dubai is like a bunch of cultures like together, and everyone is from somewhere but born in Dubai, and something along the lines of that. So it's never been tough. Sorry, it's never been difficult to like interact with people of different cultures, to be honest. And in school, we pretty much grew up like that. So yeah, it was never an issue. Uh, Fondest memories wise, used to live in like the city the whole time, so really used to noise, really used to moving around, having everything accessible close by. I do tend to miss the people a lot in Dubai, so I had a lot of good connections in Dubai, and some of them actually came here as well and are still good friends, like Langston, for example. So but yeah, so pretty much my experience. Yeah.
Thank you.
I think they both stole my words away, but it's pretty much the same. Similar, well, same experience from childhood as well. Like in the first few years of my life, I literally grew up in the city as well. of Dubai, and meeting different people, since my childhood, making new friends, and all other from different cultures as well. So it was kind of like just getting being born in that environment. I never really felt like um, I was in something else. I never lived in India, for example. I've never lived there for a period of time to be able to even remember anything. I think when I was just 3 years old, we moved over there for like 6 months, and but I don't have any memory of that. And high school was also pretty much the same thing, just meeting people from different cultures. So it was always experiencing, people from different countries, what their culture looks like through, school activities and, things like ethnic day and all that kind of stuff. So I was pretty familiar with all that. So coming to college was not so different, even in Dubai. Um, and I definitely, I did not really live in the city for a long period of time. I think I was there for 10 years, and then we moved away from the city. But it was pretty much the same because when I would go to college, I'll meet up with everyone, and then it's just a different life after that. I did travel to the city a lot more, even during my college days over there. So I think that yeah, that's pretty much it. I would say pretty much a similar experience.
Thank you. So, tell us a little bit of why you chose to come and study here at RIT Rochester or RIT New York. What brought you here?
I could go first
Hmm.
if so for the most part, honestly, it was just I wanted a change, and I wanted to actually also experience the RIT near campus, because that's how I actually originally heard about RIT. I knew that there was a New York campus. That was, initially when I was like looking up at mechanical engineering, that's what I thought about. Like RIT was the one that showed up, and I looked into it and I liked it. And then later on, I figured out that they also had a campus in Dubai and everything. And initially, I was like, okay, let me just join the campus for you because it was just easier and whatnot. And then when I changed my major and everything, oh, Kaushal actually went for a study abroad, and he told me how awesome it was over there for cybersecurity. Like their program is amazing, and I was like, you know what, I think I should make a move soon. And initially, I was supposed to actually move to RT New York a little more earlier than 2017, like I think in 2016. But then when I got accepted, I kind of got nervous, and I was like, you know what, I'll just go a little later because it was so difficult to leave home. It was not an easy transition for me. But then later on I made a decision to leave only because I wanted to eliminate, like, destroy that fear of just staying in Dubai and moving into a new place and experiencing something completely new, not just in terms of academics, but again in terms of culture, embracing a new culture and just moving into a new country and living on your own. I think that was like literally one of my main reasons why I actually just took advantage of the Global Scholar Program. And I think it was designed pretty well as well, because you're not just going alone, you're going with a bunch of people who are coming from different backgrounds. And some of those people are coming from the same country that you're going from. So I think that was my main reasons. And I think it worked out pretty well, if anything. But yeah.
Thank you. I think we're going to switch interpreters, so let's take a pause. All set. All right. Who would like to go next?
I can go next. So for me, originally, I did not have any plans of coming here, to be honest. I did not know what I wanted to do. All I knew was I liked science and I was really into computers. And that was like my general background when I was looking for colleges. I came to RIT and I remember speaking to Mohan. I don't know if he's still there. And he was the one who had showed me around campus, and he mentioned that they had this thing called the undecided program, where you can join, but you don't have to be specifically part of a major. And at that time, computer security wasn't offered in Dubai when I originally joined in my first year. So I was a mechanical engineering major, but I was an undecided major. So I had all the basic core subjects, but I hadn't decided towards something because I wanted to experience like what I can actually go for eventually. So the 1 year went by like that, and then the computer security program was introduced in Dubai, and yeah, I was one of the first students to join that program. And since then, my interest towards it grew, and then slowly I found out about the study abroad program. I thought I would apply because just to get like international exposure, have an idea. Honestly, I thought that I would only go for one semester, and that's about it. I think even back then it was per spring. It wasn't like back to back. Like there was an offer in the fall, basically. But yeah, so I went in spring, and I had a good experience, to be honest, even though the winter was the worst that year. Uh, 2015 winter was really bad. Anyway, so it was a fun experience, and then they mentioned that they would offer it for the fall as well. So since I was enjoying it, I reapplied, and it worked out, and my GPA was good too, touch wood. But yeah, so since then I continued to come to New York. So honestly, for me, it was just like living semester by semester. So then eventually things started coming into place, and yeah, I'm still here.
Me initially, when I was looking for colleges, I was considering a couple of them, since I did have the option to be to study in US. But then we chose to go back to Dubai, and just complete my last few, just complete my college there. But when I was joining RIT, they did tell me that I can take up to 2 semesters in RIT New York. So I did consider that at first. And then as time went by, I actually decided to just stay in RIT Dubai. But then I started looking at RIT Croatia. And then I just left the idea altogether. And then right during COVID, right during pandemic happened, my parents asked me to reconsider. And then, I mean, my initial plan was to come to RET New York, and then I was like, okay, might as well just take this. It's cool. I've heard such good stories. I heard a lot of things, a lot of good stuff, and good experiences from my friends. So I just decided to take that, and come to RIT New York.
Thank you. So if you could think about, I'd like to ask you, how is the U.S. or how does the U.S. compare to your home country or home or the places where you've lived? You know, what are some of the major kind of differences? Those could be good things, those could be challenging things, you know, whatever you want to share. But, you know, as you compare the U.S., your time in the U.S., to your time in other places across the world, you know, what are some things that stand out to you as differences?
I'll go first. So what a lot of the things are very similar because we've had a very diverse background. But I think the culture shock has been very little. But I think understanding people and understanding the personality of people in US um, has been an experience, has been a different experience because like in each country you go to, you see a different set of personalities, and they're all similar in some way. And then coming to US, I've noticed a bit of a change, an interesting one. So that's the main difference that I saw. Other than that, I feel a lot of things are same. I feel US is very diverse as well, from what I've personally noticed, because here we've got the freedom of speech, which you wouldn't realize how diverse it makes a person, because I've interacted with so many people at work, and they have the freedom to talk their mind, and their personality really shows through. And I feel like that's what makes this country so diverse altogether. Although there are huge populations of specific cultures, but at the same time they're also diverse within, which was interesting for me to see. I wouldn't have expected that, and I feel like it comes from the fact that they're free to speak and just be who they really are.
Yeah, I can go next. So when I initially came here, it was I there was a little bit of culture shock. Not specifically like too much, but there was a little bit in generally in interactions with people. To be honest, I found it easier to make friends in Dubai. To be honest, just because I feel like over here you have to build interactions over time with people, where compared to in Dubai where you had like one interaction and then the next day the person would just come up to you and talk to you like you knew them for years. And that was very different when I came here. Uh, when I came here, like there were some times where it was a little awkward, to be honest, because I just didn't understand the way it worked here. But it's something you can eventually get over time, and you kind of understand as well. Yeah, I guess it comes down to like people are a little more private over here, in my opinion, from what I've noticed at least. Yeah, in my experience. But yeah, so that was like the main difference that I noticed over here when it came to interacting with people.
Um, yeah, I would say pretty similar to what both of them said, but like it was not much of a culture shock to me, to be honest. But obviously there were certain things that was, and like, honestly, like when you watch like these TV shows and stuff like that, like, you kind of understand what's like. I watch a lot of American TV shows. I'm assuming everyone else does. So like I was pretty familiar with how things are over here anyways. And when I came over here, I kind of saw that in reality. So that was pretty much it. And I would definitely agree that meeting people over here or making friends over here was a little more, I would say, not difficult, but yeah, you kind of have to put some effort on your part to do that. Versus an RIT Dubai, uh, because it is a smaller campus, you kind of will interact with those people very much more often than usual. But probably if it was a bigger campus, it wouldn't be the same. But again, I can't say that because we've never really gone through that phase where it was a bigger campus and you're meeting people on a regular basis. But I think it's just that over here, I think I think the only reason why it was a little bit easier for me, and then I think I had the advantage of knowing Kaushal, and he introduced me to a lot of people whom he knew over here, and I was fortunate enough to meet people very easy like that. So, and I was also fortunate to have a very big group of global scholars when I came over here. So just I interacted with a lot of people in the beginning itself. So it was not difficult to make friends over here in terms of that. But I think the significant difference was the food. I think the food was I missed the food in Dubai, to be really honest. It just in the beginning, because in the beginning I was just living on campus, and I'm not really so fond of the campus food. Maybe certain places, yes, but not the entire campus. So it just that, like, it's not stuff that I was used to. Like, until now, I've never had the garbage plate. If anyone did, I never did. So it just
Actually, not that bad. But anyway, go on.
but anyway, yeah, it's probably good. I don't know. It's just stuff like that. I was not used to things like, so in Dubai, like all the shops would close at like 10 p.m. or 9 or 10 p.m., right? Like just the grocery store and things like that, because like things stay up open pretty late over there. And over here, like everything shuts down pretty late. So there was this one time, a couple of times where I wanted something to eat in the night and everything was closed. And I was just like, what's happening? Why is this closed? And it just things like these small things, they kind of build up, but it was like I was trying to get used to it. But it was kind of shocking to me, like how things just close pretty early over here, um, and stuff like that. Also, I never knew I knew about fraternities, I guess, but not too much. But that's something that was like a culture over here, and I never knew it was pretty serious, right? So that was something that I was also introduced to. As far as, I guess, I don't know if that, I think that's just American culture, but I just never knew a lot about fraternities before. And then the more I talked to people, the more I understood it, and I knew how serious it was. And I was like, okay, wow, this is actually something that's some people take it seriously over here. It means something, and things of that sort. Also, another difference would be like, I think the student clubs over here was obviously a significant. It was pretty different from what IIT Dubai was. Although IIT Dubai clubs were the most time I spent over there, I was there for like 3 or 4 years. So it definitely evolved. But over here, obviously, because it was a little bit more evolved than IIT Dubai, because obviously it's an older campus. Um, that was another gateway to meet people and to interact with people and just get involved with the IIT community. Because again, just like meeting friends, you could be invited to all these, a lot of these events, but you have to still make the effort to go and introduce yourself and network with people. And that is something that I've learned. I think that's just a universal thing. But I think, just being exposed to all this stuff made a huge difference for me, like getting exposed to like competitions and just, normal outdoor activities. And, it was just a very different experience for me, which I never had in Dubai. So I I definitely liked it. I mean, probably it was a little uncomfortable for me in the beginning, but eventually it was pretty amazing, and I learned a lot. So um, yeah, that's pretty much that.
Well, thank you all. I appreciate that insight. And I've only lived in Rochester for a little over a year and a half, and I have no plans on eating the garbage plate ever.
It's actually not bad. I'll
Well,
vouch for it,
yeah,
but
you vouch for it, yeah.
yeah, I'll vouch for
All right. Thank you. So the next question has to do with diversity. Well, we've been talking about diversity really, but this one's intentional around it. And so, how do you define diversity? And has that changed over the course of your lifetime or changed based on places that you have lived?
I think I'll go first. Okay. Um, like again, I guess it's a pretty broad question, but I'll try my best. Firstly, I don't think it has changed at all. But I think diversity is just like being able to witness or embrace, like when it comes in terms of culture, like embracing and meeting new cultures and just understanding what they are about. Um, and I guess it also has something to do with interacting with them, uh, and being able to just basically comprehend what they are about and stuff like that. Um, and someone who's been born in Dubai, like just like everyone over here, I guess, like I don't think that definition has changed even after moving into the US, because that was something that, we like, if you have since the beginning, if you have just been exposed to different people and whatnot, it somewhat becomes like a norm for you. Diversity is somewhat like a norm, where you're like meeting different people, different cultures, and you're like, okay, that's cool. And that's also same that transcends to US as well, where I came over here, meeting people, especially global scholars. It was not just from Dubai, it was from Croatia, Kosovo, and all these people. And it was just interesting to meet them and just understand what they are about. And like, it was not shocking or anything. I mean, just understanding what they're about was a pleasant experience. But I think that's how I would, I guess, define diversity. I know it's pretty vague, probably what I said, but I think I don't know. I think it's just, I think diversity is just an experience. You live it, and yeah.
Thank you. We're going to switch interpreters now, so let's pause for a couple of seconds. All right. All right, we're good. So who would like to go next?
I can go next. So when it came to diversity, I feel like out of reading all the questions, I feel like this was the heavy-handed one because I was a little confused about it. Like how would you define it? You know, it's just something that exists basically. But yeah, so I think a friend of mine, she's actually in the panel. I mean, in the guest. Her name's Shreya. She actually put it in a really good way. It's basically she mentioned that it's like a big melting pot and you have individual ingredients in there. And each ingredient is has a different take and has a different like it has a different flavor, as you would say, of it. But like when it mixes together, like all of them come together in harmony. So diversity kind of comes along the lines of that. Like everyone has different takes on different situations, but I feel like when it comes to accepting it and exposing yourself to it, you actually understand how someone else thinks. So it kind of like broadens your understanding as well. So I feel like it's like a learning experience for the most part. As for the difference as to Dubai versus here, I just feel like it kind of grew for me a little bit. I was exposed to different cultures in Dubai versus exposed to different cultures over here. Like I had no idea about the Latino community at all. I had no idea about different cultures that come over, like that are like honed over here compared to Dubai. And obviously it depends on geographic location, obviously. But yeah, so for me, it was just like a learning experience throughout. I did take part in the Latin dancing club as well. So that was a growing experience for me as well. I was just trying to expose myself and learn about different things that were going on. And it's actually really diverse. It's diverse in the sense that there's so much to learn about it as well. So yeah, it's been fun. Let's go with that. Yeah.
For me, diversity, in my initial years, I thought diversity is more about having people from different cultures. I touched on this in my earlier answers. And then when I moved to Pakistan when I was about 12, I guess, for 2 years. That's when I really realized that, oh, okay, well, having different people from different cultures living all together at one point is not what you'd see around a lot, and you don't realize it as a Dubai kid. So when I went back, it just kind of reinforced the idea that diversity is more about having different cultures in one. And then it kind of changed and grew after I came here. I got into retail sales for about a month or two right now. And then I just realized it's more about people, the way people express themselves, because there might be a lot of cultures, but all those cultures could be following that one culture. And that I feel like that's what you would find in the Dubai a lot. Everyone following a similar pattern of a culture because we've become one culture. And then what I've noticed here is that people are more open to express themselves. And that's what I really think is diversity. And it has changed over the past 2 months of my experience here.
Thank you. Appreciate that. So our final question for our guests before we open it up to those of you in the audience to share your questions um, is can you share with us any resources um, that you would suggest that we follow, that we read, that we listen to, whatever modality it comes in? Any resources for us to learn more about diversity in general, or to learn more about the specific, backgrounds in which you identify with and come from?
I've picked up two links. One is a time lapse of Dubai. I think you'd see that a lot in Dubai. So I'm going to share that right here. I always found this very cool because you can see how it just transforms from just plain land into this entire city. And then the other link I can just put in, but these are less about diversity, more about the backgrounds that I come from. And this is a bit of what Pakistan looks like. I guess these are things that people don't see a lot. So it's a good resource.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate you sharing those. Others?
Honestly, I didn't have any particular resource that I can share, to be honest. I guess Dubai falls in, which you already covered. Just if there are existing students in there, I would mention to actually take part in clubs to get understanding about diversity and culture in general. I guess you can say that it's not something you can read about, but actually be in it and understand what goes on. For example, like I was part of the Oasis Club, and we used to organize a lot of Indian events when it comes to Dandiya, and there was another event called Basant where we brought like people, ethnic like dancing communities together, and then there was like a giant performance, and there were winners, losers, etc. And also a part of Bhangra, which where we celebrated Diwali, where we had Diwali events and such, and we used to have a lot of people come in from different cultures, and it was like a learning experience, and everyone used to ask questions, and we were always up for questions to explain what goes on, and we even used to have small explanations of what the event is or what goes on and what's part of it, like Diwali being this festival of lights. So we always have like lots of lights around explaining to everyone what goes on, and I feel like there's even Global Union that does similar things, and that is like a bunch of people from different backgrounds coming together, organizing different events. So I think that would be like the best resource, because that's how I got more diversified, I should say. But I didn't have any personal resource, sorry.
It's okay. Because it can also be activities, and I think you shared some activities which are also important. Going to student organizations, checking out, cultural events. So that's fine.
Oh, sorry. Also, I wanted to mention that the the Global Scholars does promote that as well. So I just wanted to mention that, because being part of it, a lot of people came together, and they used to organize events for us to go out and get to know each other and understand the culture over here as well. So they really helped out. Like honestly, Mary really helped me out on some occasions. So yeah.
I think the biggest resource to Kaushal's last point is Mary, to be really honest, if you want to know anything, because she really helped me out as well. And definitely, keep an eye out for her emails, because the Global Scholar does have a dedicated program for like us, just to, do a lot of outdoor activities. Like, for example, we did the Niagara trip. There was also this thing called the Halloween hayride. So during Halloween, they take us to this farm and stuff like that with everyone. So that was pretty much fun. So, just activities in general will help you be able to firstly meet people, get out of your shell, and interact, right? Another thing what I would say, which is I'm gonna type that in the chat as well, but keep an eye for the college activities board. That's something Kaushal told me, and that's something Mary told me at the time, because sometimes you would have to change your email preferences. So you need to go to, I think, start.iit.edu. I think that's the link to basically subscribe to certain emails, because the college activities board typically handle most of the events at RIT, New York, and that's what you would. That's where you see a lot of things happening. There's actually so much going on in every single building, like in the Saunders College or in Golisano, the engineering building. There's just so much that's happening, and there's so much that I missed out on because I was not subscribed to that. Or even though that came into my inbox, I missed it because you get a ton of emails, so you kind of have to make sure you filter that out and make sure you get what you want. Um, and again, I would say clubs is a huge thing. um, Definitely be involved in that. But I'm going to be very specific to what clubs I was part of, which actually helped me. So I would definitely say number one is Bhangra, because I like to dance, and definitely Kaushal was the one who kept pulling me to dance, and I was like, you know what, I'll do this. But because after joining Bhangra, that's where I met a lot of my friends and whom I still, I'm in touch with right now. And but it's just that that experience was awesome because I got to participate in an actual show. So I actually performed with them in the Ingley Auditorium, which was pretty awesome for me, which I had never done before, right? You're performing in front of a bunch of people, and it was just something that it was a new experience. And again, you're meeting different people as well. So you're meeting different dance groups, which is pretty awesome. Understanding what they're like. So definitely look out for that. If you're interested in Bhangra. There's also another dance group called Velocity. I never really went for a lot of this stuff, but I went for their workshops. But I did meet different people over there too, and understood like just understanding a different dance form, like hip hop, was awesome, right? That's again a different culture, so that was pretty awesome. Uh, there's also swing dancing. I know I'm talking a lot about dance, but that was just what I was interested in. But swing dancing was it was fun as well. It's just that at the time I did it at a semester which was pretty busy for me, so I never really went to a lot of their meetings. But I did learn something. I don't think I remember anything, but I did learn something at the time. And last but not least, clubs related to your major. So clubs related to your major is definitely a big key over here because that just helps you meet different people, but it also helps you network with just it just helps you out in the long run to network with people from your field. So for example, I was part of this club called RC3, which is now named as RIT which is a cybersecurity club in the Golisano building. And they basically, it's just a student club which talks about cybersecurity. They educate a lot of the people who are even not, for example, if you're someone who is a computer science major or mechanical engineering, you can still be part of that club and learn all about cybersecurity. And it's just that they invite a lot of people from other different companies to come in and give talks and stuff, and you get to interact with people from different companies in the United States, which is pretty awesome to me because that's like that was one of the easiest way to actually get in touch with just companies in general over here, especially if you're trying to live here for a in the long run, or maybe you want to get an internship here, or maybe you want to get a job over here, or just understand the field a lot more. It's just better. But at the same time, you're getting to meet people, which is, I think, the biggest key. I think that's my biggest takeaway, is just understanding what people in your own major are like. And you learn a lot from these people. And I think it's definitely a key experience. So I definitely put that over here. Um, what else? I think uh, also like for any global scholar, take advantage of literally the entire campus. There's a lot going on. Like I said, keep an eye on the college activities board, and really just do not always stay in your dorm. Like try to stay like if you're going to your dorm or you're going to your room, just go there to sleep, because there's so much that goes on. I know that right now it's COVID, so it's a little bit different, but I'm sure things are still happening in a little bit in a safer way, if anything. But just keep an eye out, because it's definitely, I really think that it's it's a diverse campus, and I think you can make the most out of it if you really try, if you actually go out there. uh, and that's really my, I think I sent the message in the chat, but I think that's all I have for now. Yeah.
Sure. Thank you. All right, so I have three questions in the chat, so I'm gonna try to get to those, and then I see a hand raised from someone as well. So let me start with one of the questions in the chat, and then I'll come to the person with the hand raised, and then we'll go back to the chat. Um, and I'm gonna ask the panelists to try to be thorough, but be concise in your response. We only have 15 minutes left, so I want to make sure we get to as many questions as possible. Um, so the first question is from Pamela, and they're saying, have you had an opportunity to travel to other areas of the U.S.? And if so, what has been your experiences or opinions of those different parts of the country?
um, okay, I've traveled to Is that to all of us or just me? Or like,
But
is
to
it
To all of
everyone.
us.
To
okay?
anyone. Yep.
So I've traveled to a couple of different states, I would say, in the US. So I think the first different state was Ohio. I had gone there for like one of my spring breaks, and it was a little different. I would say it was a little mellow compared to, I guess, Rochester. I just had a friend of mine. He had family over there. We went to his house and we stayed over there. It was a good experience, but it was, if anything, it at the time when we had gone, it was pretty quiet. So there was really not much of a culture shock over there or anything. But I think the biggest difference I would see was when I'd gone to Boston. I'd gone to Boston with my friends, and I really liked it over there. To be honest, I just liked the city over there. It was much more, it's very different and whatnot. The people were nice too. I mean, the people were nice in Rochester as well, but it's just that it was a little different in Boston. I guess you're just meeting different people. Um, but I think that was the only two states outside of New York that I'd been to, and obviously New York City. That's, I think everyone who's been here has probably gone there at least once. If not, you should.
Mhm.
Um, but I think New York City as a whole is just different. Again, that's like, I wouldn't say you meet the nicest people over there, right? So that was a little different for me as well, because it's a little weird because you meet nice people, but you also meet the not nice people. So you have to be prepared for that. And you might think that, some people might probably be rude to you, but that's something that's normal, apparently, right? Like, you have to just treat it like normal. Like, it's just like the way it is. It's not that they're rude to you. It's not like, I've unfortunately not, I don't think I've faced any horrible experiences, but it's just, things on the subway. There's normal things on the subway that you go on, you have these interactions, you have these weird interactions, which you don't really see in Dubai. So I guess that's why it's a little bit like, it was a little off. But when the second time I had gone to New York City, I was like, okay, man, this is just normal. That's fine. Um, outside the US, the next place I'd gone to was Canada. I don't know if that's relevant to this conversation, but that's just another place I'd gone to. I'd gone to Toronto because it's very close to Rochester, and I'd gone there to meet my cousin. Um, so yeah, that's pretty much that.
Thank you. Let's have one other person on the panel respond to this question, then we'll move to another one.
I went to Virginia, California, Chicago, Texas, and New Jersey. And I think the main difference, I think I found it in the way people live. More so, it's about the personalities that I noticed. I think people to begin with, I guess in California, I felt like there were a lot more places to go, which I guess brings out the fun, the more adventurous side. Virginia, I really, really enjoyed. I think Virginia is what I really liked because it was very calm. It had a lot. It had a lot of nature while it still had a lot of places to visit. And then and then Texas is where my brothers live. It's nice. We have a lot of people there. So it's very nice seeing different people, and you'll find a lot of Desis over there, which gave me a bit more of a Dubai feel in terms of interacting with people. And then Chicago's nice. Um, uh, and cold as well. And then it was still similar to Virginia for me. Yeah.
Thank you. So we're gonna move on to another question, and maybe we'll have Kaushal start in that reply if it's relevant. So I see Miriam, I believe is how you pronounce it, Miriam Sora. If you want to state your
Yes,
question.
hi. Hi, everyone. First of all, I'm so happy that I attended this session, and I want to say that the interpreter, you're amazing, and what you're doing is so inspiring. My question is, when you're in a very diverse environment, it gets so easy to like lose your identity or like melt in with everyone else. So how do you guys stay connected with your like hometown or like your backgrounds?
Great question.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I'll go. That is an interesting question. I guess it kind of comes down to the fact that I was like we've been doing that since, at least I've been doing that since birth. To be honest, Dubai was like somewhere I was born, but technically we were from India. So my parents itself brought their culture to Dubai itself, and uh, just to uh, could you actually repeat the key point of the question? I just want to go over it properly, and I don't want to go off topic.
So, like, how do you stay connected to your culture?
Just culture in general by, I guess, celebrating it and spreading it and making people involve in it. I suppose going to temples, praying. I'm Hindu by religion. So just by spreading events, telling people about it. I guess in a crowd, you do tend to get lost, but like I think everything about you, if you express yourself, like Mahin had mentioned, I think if you express yourself and just talk about things from your perspective as well, and if you have conversation with people, you kind of stand on your own level while meeting people and understanding other people as well. So there's connection that goes on. So I guess kind of going off of that, just spreading, your knowledge and even about your culture and such kind of covers pretty much all of it. That's how I try to not get lost in the crowd. um, yeah, and honestly, my experiences will be way different than someone born in India itself, for sure. So even with them, I tend to share what I've been through, and then they mention that something related to that, and then stories keep building up, and we just keep improving. But basically, just expressing yourself kind of covers it.
Thanks. I have one more person respond to that, and then I want to get one more question in after.
All right. So for me, it was firstly I would call my parents every day. So I'll always stay connected to my family in Dubai. Um, and they always obviously just encourage me because initially when I was over here, it was a little bit difficult, right? You're having meeting different people, you're alone. So to your point, you can kind of lose touch with your culture, I guess. So my parents always reminded me that, like always pray, for example. Like for example, I would always go to for Sunday, the church on Sundays. So there was fortunately a church on campus. There's a religious community on campus, by the way, if no one knows, for Muslim, Hindus, and Christians. So I'm a Christian, so I used to go to the Sunday mass every time, and over there also I would just meet different people. It was another opportunity, but I would stay connected to my faith, but as well as knowing where I'm coming from. So I think really to Kaushals and Mahin's point, you have to just you just need to be very honest when it comes to especially state out your opinion when it comes to like, because there's a lot of things that are going to happen in front of you that sometimes you might not even agree to, but it's just like, okay, that's their way of thinking. But let's say they ask you something about it, and let's say they maybe, for example, not a lot of people drink, for example. It's okay to say no, and it might be a shock to some people, but it's just like you're abiding by your values and you're abiding by your, and if that's a cultural thing, right? uh, so for example, I don't eat. I've gone to a lot of like, just gatherings, and a lot of people would be like, hey, would you like some pork? And I don't eat pork, and I just say no, and that's fine. And they're like, oh, it was like, you don't like pork? I'm just like, I don't eat it. It's just a personal thing, right? So and also, if you when you're honest with them, sometimes it might be a culture shock for them, because they're like, oh, I never knew that's something that's not normal from your thing. But then that's something that they're learning about you, and that way you're like, you have your own stance, and you are where you are. So you're maintaining, like, you don't have to be like, in that way you'll never get disconnected from your actual culture. So I think just just be honest, be friendly, and also just also you need to understand that everyone's going to be very different. Cultures are very different, some are shocking, and uh, keeping that in mind, it would be a little bit smoother for you as you keep going on. So I think that's just my take on that.
Thank you. So next question I want to try to squeeze in here is several questions in one, so I'm only going to ask one part of it. So questions coming from Karen. In essence, what has been your experience interacting with the deaf community here in New York, or IT New York, compared to your experience or lack of experience interacting with deaf people in your home countries?
I can go for this one. Honestly, when I came here initially, I was actually really moved by what the whole deaf community program in general. I feel like they do a lot for the deaf community here. Excuse me. Be it interpreting in classes, or even when even when Trevor Noah had come to RIT, there are interpreters standing and trying to interpret for deaf people as well. I think that's a really good initiative in general, and that I didn't have much direct interaction, but there were I had like a couple of friends who were deaf, and they used to show up for events, and I used to see them often. And compared to the experience we had in Dubai, I don't think Dubai has something that large when it comes to the deaf community, and it is something that can be carried from here to Dubai, for sure, definitely. Especially given how large it is and how much it kind of helps deaf people interact with others, for sure, definitely. I tried to sign RIT, but I think I'm pretty awful at it, especially when they have the ice hockey tournaments going on. You can see that even the side band, when they're cheering for RIT, you can actually see them signing it, which is actually really, really nice. Like it's very inclusive. So I think that is something that could be brought to the international campuses, not just Dubai.
Mahin, do you want to comment on that?
Yeah, I did not notice a lot of in Dubai. I wasn't as exposed to the deaf community. It was a change for me when I came here. It was pretty interesting to see how well accommodated they are. And as Kaushal said, I think that's something we can definitely take back to Dubai and implement it there. Because it's so interesting to see how we're all just working together, and it's so possible. And I never saw it in that way. So that was the main change. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. So we're close to our time. So I want to thank our guests for coming on and sharing a little bit about who they are and how they think about this idea of diversity or this experience of diversity. There are some questions left, so what I'll try to do is I'll send those to our guest panelists. If they're willing to respond, I'll get their responses, and I can either email those out or put those on social media for people to get those answers to. I'll share where you can get those on social media, but as a closing, I want to recognize this is International Education Week. And so if Lindsay or Mary would like to just kind of say some quick words about that or upcoming events, the space is yours.
About International Education Week, right? Okay. Hi, Kaushal. Hi, Langston.
Hi, Mary.
We have some events planned, not as much and as robust as other International Education Weeks. But you can go to rit.edu/IEW, and then you're going to be able to see the few events that we were able to put together. Yes, thank you, Lindsay. The few events that we were able to put together over Zoom, and some of the departments across campus also tried to do versions of their usual events, like modern languages. They have some versions of their open houses that they would usually do during International Education Week, but online. I have two things that if you can connect, it would be great. And I think you find it super interesting. So today at 12 p.m. On our Instagram account, at RIT Study Abroad Instagram account, we have an alum from RIT Croatia who's a certified tour guide, and he's going to go around and give us a tour of the city of Dubrovnik. And then tomorrow we're going to have staff from the Zagreb campus, and she's going to do a mini tour of Zagreb. So they're both at 12 p.m. Rochester time, and it's going to be in our Instagram. And if you miss it, you can go later to our Instagram TV channel, and you're going to be able to see them. Unfortunately, for today, the live event, Instagram doesn't allow for captions, so it's not going to be accessible to the deaf and hard of hearing, but we're hoping when we put it in our Instagram TV, we'll be able to add captions. So those two events today at 12 p.m. on Instagram.
Soon. All right, Lindsay, did you have anything quickly you want to share? Okay. All right. Well, I want to thank you all for attending from wherever you are in the world. Again, thank you for getting up early. Thank you for staying up late. Thank you for doing this midday. And thanks to our interpreters as well. And a final thanks to our guest storytellers. So hope everyone has a great evening, a great day, or great morning. See you next time.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everybody. Bye.
Yeah, thank you.